Zeke Elliott have mutual interest. Would you believe that Zeke would boost the Cowboys' red zone offense?
No, I don't believe that. Listen, I think that Zeke Elliott is more of a complimentary piece at this stage in his career. He's been, obviously one of the all-time greats for the, Dallas Cowboys during his day. But right now, I don't see Zeke as a guy that coming in and just going to give this huge boost. Dallas Cowboys, trust me, the red zone wasn't a problem for the Dallas Cowboys, at all last season. So, no, I don't agree with that.
Next stop is Chicago. Would you believe the Bears and the number 1 pick are going to make the playoffs next season?
Oh, man, it's tough. I don't believe that, but I think this Bears team is going to they're going to make some noise next year with all the pieces that Ryan Poles, the GM, has added with the Chicago Bears. We know they're going to draft the quarterback number 1, so I don't think they're going to get into postseason, but they're going to be a very scary team next year.
Yeah, what you're looking at are the Lions and the Packers, and that's what's in their way in their own division. But we'll see if Caleb Williams is the guy to lead them. And then finally, D-Wood, would you believe the Jets are going to win the AFC East?
Listen, I'll preface this by the word health. If they are healthy, yes, the Jets could absolutely win the AFC East next year. You have one of the all-time great quarterbacks, and Aaron Rodgers coming back off the Achilles. I know he's old. Dan, chill. I know. Look at Graz. Look at me. But all the moves that the Jets have made. The Jets are all in this year with all the moves that they made. They are one of the most talented teams in the not only in the AFC but just in the National Football League.
Yeah, with all the March Madness going on this weekend and the start of baseball, lest you missed it, the Jets made another huge move on Friday with the acquisition of Hassan Reddick, giving up a conditional third. 2 years from now, it could become a second if he's, like the best defensive player in the world, which I'm counting on him to be. Right. So let me bring in the haters here, Dan Orlovsky and Dan Graziano. Orlovsky, describe for me this Jets offseason. Look, I was all ready to give up. And now they have drawn me back in with an offseason that belongs in the Louvre. Talk to me about the Jets offseason so far, Orlovsky.
Yeah, before that, shout out to the basketball capital of the world, UConn. Danny Hurley getting into another Final Four. Go for the girls tonight. Hey, best basketball program in the country before I get into that, okay?
Okay, fair enough.
Jets. Yeah. Right now, the Jets have the 3rd best roster on paper in the conference. I would put it behind Kansas City, and I would put it behind Baltimore. Other teams in that conference have holes. The Jets just have ifs, and the ifs are all attached to health. If Tyron Smith, if Mike Williams, if Aaron Rodgers are healthy, this team could absolutely be in the AFC Championship game. There's 2 truths that have to be answered, Greeny, and there are questions. One, the last time that we saw Aaron Rodgers throw really like a meaningful pass, one that had weight to it in the NFL, by the time this season starts, is going to be 20 months. Yeah. It'll be January 9th of 2023. It was an interception.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so it's going to be 2.5 years since he won MVP. We don't know what it's going to look like for Rodgers. Yes, he's Hall of Fame, all that. So, it's 2.5 years since he won MVP. 18 to 20 months since he last played his meaningful snap in the NFL. I think that's if not the biggest question of the NFL season, is who and what is Aaron Rodgers?
And who and what are around him, and they have done. You and I were talking about it this morning. They've done it exactly right.
Their offseason has been a perfect one for them, because the Aaron Rodgers move of last year means they are all in to win a championship for however long he is there. So you take big swings, right? You lose Bryce Huff, you replace him with a more expensive Hassan Reddick in a trade. You sign Tyron Smith knowing that, he might miss some games, probably will, but when he's on the field, he's going to be a dominant player at left tackle, which is what you need. You sign Mike Williams knowing what he can do for your passing game, knowing the risk that comes with that. They're not in this to go 10-7 and lose in the first round.
No, right.
Like you're either going to win the whole thing, or it doesn't really matter. Like you can bottom out like they did last year. So I think their offseason has been exactly the one they should have had for their circumstance.
Yeah, they pushed all their chips in, man. Like you look at the moves. The only question mark I have is health.
Right.
Of course.
For anyone out there, that's the only thing you can question about the Jets and the moves that they made. Health. As far as the actual acquisitions, they've been on the money.
Yeah.
They've been absolutely on the money. And we're not even talking about the players that they already have on the roster.
Right.
Look at these moves. Like Tyron Taylor, when he's, Tyron Smith, when he's healthy, he's one of the best left tackles in the league. Morgan Moses, he was excellent when he was with the Jets before he left to go to Baltimore. Mike Williams, big threat, going to be a complimentary piece to Garrett Wilson. Hassan Reddick, 4 straight years of double-digit sacks.
Yeah.
Okay, so, these are big-time moves. Big-time moves. And quite honestly, for me, I don't need Aaron Rodgers to be MVP Aaron Rodgers. Now when I got Breece Hall in the backfield.
You don't.
Yeah.
Now when I got Breece Hall in the backfield.
You absolutely need that.
Go ahead.
If you
Orlovsky,
are
I got
going
30
to
seconds. Go.
If the Jets are going to have this pay off, they need MVP Aaron Rodgers. Again, it's been 2.5 years, essentially, by the time the season starts till he's won MVP. They are not beating Kansas City. They are not beating Baltimore. They are not beating Houston. They are not going to beat some of these upper echelon teams when it matters the most unless Aaron is playing at an MVP level.
The defense, they got a great defense.
I disagree with that.
Jets should have a dominant
So does Kansas
defense.
City. So does Baltimore.
We'll see. I mean, the Jets almost beat Kansas City last year with Zach Wilson on a Sunday night, if not for some questionable officiating. There is so much to happen between now and 3 weeks from Thursday when we all gather in Detroit. So I'm going to give you right now the 5 biggest questions. We will start going through the answers as we go. But this, to me, my green list today, these are the 5 biggest questions that will be figured out. At number 5, I'm going to put the wide receivers. And Marvin Harrison Jr. has been penciled in as the best wide receiver in this class, it feels like, for years. But I'm getting a lot of sense that there are teams out there that think Malik Neighbors is actually the better prospect. His pro day knocked everybody on their socks. He is spectacular. So, by the way, is Rome Odunze from Washington. But I think there is some chance that Malik Neighbors winds up being WR1 in this draft class, which would be a huge surprise. Speaking of huge surprises, at number 4, is there any chance Jaden Daniels supplants Caleb Williams as QB1? I will remind you, this is really only one person's decision to make, and there is no indication to this point that Ryan Poles has changed his mind. I still think it is likeliest that Caleb Williams goes number 1, but there are so many people who prefer Jaden Daniels. I'll be curious to see if somehow that switches at the top. Speaking of which, question number 3. Does J.J. McCarthy move into the top 3 quarterbacks? It feels like there have been the 3 guys at the top, Caleb and Jaden Daniels and Drake May, and then J.J. McCarthy on the outside. But he has been rising so fast. Is it possible that he actually tips into the top 3, maybe supplanting Drake May, and goes higher in this draft than we ever would have imagined? We'll wait and see. Then the big question that I have for you at number 2, are we going to have 4 quarterbacks in round 1? Are we going to have 5 quarterbacks in round 1? Are we going to have 6 quarterbacks in round 1? Images of 1983 go through your head with Marino going at the very end. Does Michael Penix wind up in round 1? Is Bo Nix a certainty to go in round 1? I think we are short of having 4, probably 5, and I think it's a possibility that we wind up with 6 because teams will make trades, and that's the number 1 question. Which team or teams are going to make the trades up for a quarterback? Is someone coming up to get Jaden Daniels? Is someone coming up to get J.J. McCarthy? Of maybe later consequence, is someone going to trade into the back end of that first round to get Michael Penix? Is there a surprise quarterback team out there? Let me bring the crew in here with Orlovsky and Damien Woody, but I will start with you, Dan Graziano.
Why?
As my insider extraordinaire on that thought. If we are looking for the teams right now who might be looking to trade up, and Jaden Daniels is the hottest commodity I can imagine, which are the teams we have our closest eyes on?
Minnesota and Las Vegas are the 2 that are down the round a little bit. Minnesota's already traded for another first-round pick, so they're ready to go if the opportunity presents itself. You can say the Giants at 6. I think they may have their eye on McCarthy. Do they need to come up from 6 to get him? Maybe, maybe not. But if you're talking about teams that need to make a big move up if they want to get the guy they want, I'm looking at the Raiders and I'm looking at the Vikings.
The Raiders' move would be a big move, right?
Would.
We're talking about they're coming from much later in the round.
Yes, it's tough. I mean, it might be impossible for them to go up, but I know that they're interested.
Orlovsky, who should be doing this? Who should be not hanging up the phone, as our buddy Mike T would say, until they have a deal done?
Yeah, certainly Minnesota and the Raiders. I completely agree with Graz. The really interesting part is with Minnesota, who's the guy that they want, and is it going up to Washington?
Right.
And is Washington dead set on not going back? Is Washington committed to saying we're going to take whatever quarterback we want at number 2, or does Washington sit back with Cliff Kingsbury as their new offensive coordinator who wants a little bit more of a point guard at quarterback and be like, you know what, we'll drop back and take a Bo Nix at number 11 or something like that? Does that allow Minnesota or the Las Vegas Raiders to go up? Greeny, the really interesting point that I think you made was the 6 quarterbacks in round 1. Let's be very clear. If Michael Penix from Washington did not have 4 season-ending injuries, we would be talking about 5 quarterbacks in the first 5 picks. We're talking about 4 in the first 4 picks. But if Penix didn't have those injuries, with the way that he threw the football the last 2 years at Washington, you would be talking about, man, are the New York Giants going to have to go up to the number 5 pick to go get Michael Penix? More so than do they have to sit and wait for J.J. McCarthy? Michael Penix is as talented a thrower of the football that we have in this draft class. And if he was healthy, we'd have 5 in the first 5.
And he's a spectacular athlete. If he says his product, he is healthy now. That's the point. Right. He's fully healthy now and has been for 2 years. And he set the world. You're
No, he is. And everything that's important for people to understand. Yeah. He has checked every box health-wise during the draft process. But teams are concerned because past injuries tend to predict future injuries in a lot of cases.
Let's go back then to the very top of this thing, though. Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, the Drake May versus J.J. McCarthy part of it all. How do you see it right now, D. Wood?
I still have Jaden Daniels as my number 1 because I always say when it comes to these quarterbacks, everyone's athletic. Everyone has big arm, all that type of stuff. But who can do the ordinary things the best that's required in the National Football League? I think Jaden Daniels is the guy, to me, that game in and game out displayed that for me. So I have him as my number 1 quarterback.
See, it's a really interesting question. And Dan Orlovsky was the first person who said that on this show, and now a lot of people have said it. Louis Riddick has fallen in love, too. It's an interesting question to me, Dan. If you're the Bears, it's a dicey game to play.
It is.
But if someone wants to come up to take the guy you wouldn't take anyway, then it sort of does behoove you to maybe move back a spot, but now you're running the risk of not getting your guy.
I don't think you move back a spot because the team picking second is the one that really wants Caleb Williams, right? Because he's the local kid. So, yeah, I don't think that's going to work if you're the Bears and you want Caleb.